Service time here on the John Deere 567. This year I'm doing all the chains, pickup chains, main drive chains. Did do a new sprocket here, the main drive sprocket. Was getting pretty worn. I don't know where that's at. Yeah, the teeth were just getting pretty bad, especially in the back there. Getting pretty spread out. And that can raise hell with your new chains. I mean, there's no point in putting new good chains on if you're going to run bad sprockets. It just wears your chains out that much faster. And speaking of wearing out chains fast, I mean, we always used to use just some spray-on chain lube, just whatever you could pick up. And, you know, your chains are hot, you just put that on, and it seems like in about a half an hour that stuff just burns off and they're running dry again. And as expensive as chains are, I mean, I got to running this TRC 880 grease, and it was such a good grease. They make this chain and cable lube. It's a 140 weight, and I'll just show you what this stuff looks like. But this stuff is so tacky. It goes on the chains, and I'll just take a video of it. But it gets so stringy, it sticks to the sprockets, it sticks to the chains, it gets in the rollers. I mean, it stays where you put it. And I've actually, the last 3 years I've been using it, I've been able to go an extra year on my set of chains. And that's how much noticeable less wear there is as I'm baling through the year. And I'll put that on every couple hours or whenever it's convenient for me. You know, if I stop to fuel or I stop to, you know, for the night or the morning or whatever, I'll grease them up before I shut down while the chains are hot. And that stuff sticks to them. And, you know, I started liking their stuff so much, I actually started selling it as an independent sales rep. I mean, just because I really believe in it. I mean, and I've seen what it does on the chains. And for what they cost, especially on the Vermeer, where you're running 80 heavies. I mean, and these aren't any bargain, these 60 heavies, but the 80 heavies, and they're expensive. And I think even the new Deere balers run 80 heavy. So I would just prefer to save. I mean, these sprockets are 80 bucks. If you can save from having to buy sprockets and chains as often and just, you know, reduce the heat and wear on everything, I'm a big believer in that, especially when the hay is heavy. So as far as other maintenance on these, I mean, I do the pickup chain every year regardless, just because it runs down in the dirt, and nothing will wreck your evening faster than breaking a pickup chain at, you know, 12:30 a.m. So I like to keep that new, especially because that's a 50 chain, so it's not quite as heavy as the others. The other thing is I check the gearbox level, oil level right there. You take out that plug, there's a dipstick in there. Make sure it's where it needs to be. Make sure the oil's clean. And check the U-joints, of course. But this year I wanted to check the slip clutch because we've had some troubles with this baler plugging, and I was wondering if the slip clutch was getting a little weak. So in the manual it shows this gap here between this rectangular peg and this back plate. That gap right there should measure 4.7 to 7.1 millimeter. And it says if the distance is less than specification, go to step 4, where you remove one of the bolts and remove one washer and between the head of the bolt and the plate. So what they're saying, and I have read through this, you remove one of these washers right here. Focus in. One of those washers, and then when you take that washer out, put it on this side under the head of the bolt. But that will tighten up your clearance in there. You need to do it to all the bolts. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's 6 or 8 bolts there. But that will tighten up your slip clutch. And mine is still in range. Mine was measuring 5.5 millimeters. So I'm a little on the light side, but as old as this baler is, if I took a washer out, I'd be right up against the high side, which would be it'd be around 7. And I just don't know. I don't know if I want to be against the high side and put that much torque to everything as old as it is. So if it gets to be a problem, I will do it when we go to hand, but until it's a problem, I'm going to leave it alone. Other things to watch on these is your knuckle. This knuckle here, your CV, this has got a little wobble in it, not bad. And this driveline was changed about 10,000 bales ago. It's okay, but make sure you give a little shot of grease in the CVs about every 10, 12 hours. A couple pumps will do it. And then just general maintenance on your pickup. You know, teeth, and check the cams. You look in through there. Make sure your cams aren't broken. Your rollers are okay. Pretty straightforward. I do like to open the tailgate about so far, lock your tailgate, of course, and then get in there and roll each bearing on the main tension roller on those 3 rollers. Go roll all those, make sure they're free. And another neat thing to do there too is, just for the sake of hearing anything wrong, when you take off the pickup chain, go ahead, before you do the rest of the chains, take off your pickup chain and kick your PTO on, and that will get rid of that noisy pickup. And you'll be able to hear any belt rollers that are squealing, any bearings that sound rough. You can hear the belt system running. And that is impossible to do when that pickup is running, because the pickups on these are just, you know, chitty chitty bang bang. They just make a heck of a racket. So, net wrap side, just basic maintenance. Check your belt condition. If your belt's getting all cracked out, it's best to do it now, because you got to take this roller out of here to get a new belt fed in there, or at least take this cover off. I did this last year. I had to put a new belt in, and I was on the original belt. But check your belt, check your brake. Always nice to keep a brake on hand, because that can cause some net issues if the brake's not holding. Make sure you're running these caps. If you're not running deer net, run these end caps that centers your roll if you're running 64-inch, because that'll raise your sensors as far as not thinking the net's cut. And then this panel here, this also guides your net down, and you want that just touching your belts. That'll guide your net down where it needs to be. And there's procedure in your owner's manual for that too. One other thing on these that does happen, and I noticed it on this yesterday, I got a broken coil right there. And you can see I got some slop in it. Those do break on these deers. There's actually 2 coils broken there. You can see that second one. Check those springs. And just generally check the bearings. So that's about it on the deers, and really the Vermeer too. I mean, the deer more specifically, because I put more parts into it, just because of its age. And the pickup teeth on the deer are just a constant problem. It seems like when they went to the square teeth, they just break. I haven't broken any teeth on the Vermeer yet, so. But that's it on this. I just thought I'd show you guys what we're doing and what kind of normal walkthrough is for me on these. You know, throw the fire extinguisher on, of course. This baler's been saved at least once from that, when we had a bearing fail up high and you couldn't see it. And that saved us from burning down. So, well worth the $300 or whatever they are. But good luck with your haying season, and that's it on this video.